Welcome to the GTN show. We have got a big show for you today. Some breaking news, in fact. Now, we've obviously already discussed the fact that Lucy Charles Barclay is unfortunately out of that sub-8 attempt due to injury. And I'm sure you've all been eager to hear who that athlete will be that is now taking on the sub-8 challenge. Well, we can do better than that, because not only are we going to be exclusively revealing who that athlete will be here on GTN, we've also been to chat to them too. Oh yes, stay tuned for that. We're also talking about the recent retirement announcement from one of the biggest names in our sport. We also have the pro lineup for the upcoming PTO Pro-Am event in LA. And a first for the sport, we have the results from the Triathlon Esports World Championships Round 1. Right, before we delve into that exciting news, let's run through some of the things we've spotted on social media this past week. So first off, Christian Blumenfeld doing what Christian Blumenfeld does, or what the Norwegians do, and that is taking science and technology and pushing those boundaries. So he's using a VO2 max mask in the swimming pool. We've seen them do this before. I believe the device is called the VO2 Max Master. It's a portable device that you can use out and about on the road and sync it up with your phone and get all the data and metrics from that. So really cool device. But yeah, classic Norwegians. Great stuff. And there's been obviously a lot of banter between themselves and Joe Skipper on social media this past week or so with that. Another interesting thing is Jan Frodeno posting yet more photos of him up in the mountains at altitude, but most notably still skiing. Odds, because obviously the Ironman World Championships in St George's is just in a few weeks' time. And is this perhaps a sign that Jan isn't doing St George? And maybe he's putting all his eggs in the Kona basket? Maybe he's injured? I don't know. Speculating, obviously, perhaps he's just teasing us all. These are photos that he's stockpiled and got in the bank from back before Christmas or something. But yeah, here's one of the latest photos of him with one of the mountaineering skiing experts, and yeah, being taken on a bit of a venture out in the mountains. Another post, I really like this. This is from the legend Javier Gomez, essentially saying how there's a lot of pressure on pros to be savvy on social media, have YouTube channels and various other things, be very polished. And here's a photo of him post-run session on the side of the road in a rather average industrial estate. In fact, he goes on to say, there's this pressure to show amazing places. And he's saying himself and Jan van Berkel ran off the bike in an industrial area, probably top 5 ugliest places in Spain. No traffic through though. Yeah, it goes on and just essentially being quite real. It's not always glamorous being a pro athlete, and he's not going to try and polish it and make it sound and look lovely for you when this is what he's doing day in, day out. So really cool. Gustav Eden, rightly so, rather proud of his new Giant Trinity TT bike with a custom paint job. It's quite a unique one because it's almost like a split design. On one side of the bike, it's got an ode to his hometown of Bergen, with actually a little bit of a kind of artwork on the chainstay of the Bergen sort of landscape and buildings. And then on the other side, it's an ode to Taiwan, where the Giant bikes are made, the Giant Trinity is made. And then also, interestingly, on the seat post, it's got the inscription that the inscription that is on his hat that he famously has worn in many races. So really cool paintwork, and excited to see that being raced on very soon. Right then, now for the Tri news. And before we get into that big announcement, we do have the retirement announcement from one of the true legends of our sport, and that is Nicola Spirig. Now, she was the Olympic champion from 2012. In fact, she's been to 5 Olympic Games. She's 7-time European champion as well, if you include her Junior European Championship win. She posted this on Instagram just this week. Over the past 25 years, I've achieved just about everything I've ever dreamed of, both athletically and personally. I've been able to take part in 5 Olympic Games. I've won 2 Olympic medals and 7 European Championship titles. She goes on, she's thanked her family, friends, her coach, and so on. She also concludes saying, "In my final season, the Sub-8 project is an incredible challenge. Will be a first highlight coming up in June. Thereafter, I'll be entering a few more events before wrapping up the year and my career. I'm looking forward to spending more time with my family and to dedicate myself to new exciting projects." Well, we are wishing you all the best, Nicola, and obviously all taking our hats off to such a successful career. Really is very, very impressive. Talking of which, she actually ran the Zurich Marathon this weekend, also just as a training run. Just to confirm that, she was wearing leggings and a long sleeve, and also just a few weeks post breaking her ribs. And she finished 6th in an impressive time of 2 hours 46. So things obviously looking good ahead of that Sub-8 attempt. But talking of which, this Sub-8 attempt, obviously we've got some big news here. Are Nicola's tactics going to change, perhaps, with the fact that Lucy Charles Barclay is now out and she has a new contender? Because not only are they obviously trying to go after Sub-8, they want to be the fastest there. So I think it's time we introduce this new athlete. Stepping up to take on the Sub-8 challenge. And I've got to say, I'm really excited about this. This has come about very last minute for you, presumably very excited though.
Yeah, absolutely. Over the moon. Opportunity came and I obviously jumped at it. I've been eyeing it up as a challenge for myself for a while, but yeah, really last minute, and I've been really excited to sort of just roll with it.
No, I was going to say the same. I mean, I personally, even from the start, I thought you were an ideal candidate for this. So really excited to see you taking this on. How confident are you about going Sub-8 though?
Thanks. I am actually really confident. I know it will be a really hard endeavour, but I think drawing together the strength of other people in the team, I'm really confident in my own ability in the sort of, I guess, the run element. But the swim and the bike, I have absolute trust in the team, and I think we're going to do it.
Now, you've come from actually team sports. So this is actually quite interesting. Rather than just being this solo linear athlete, you're bringing in people into your team, working with them, which maybe plays to your strengths actually, more so than a lot of other athletes out there.
Yeah, I mean, I love it. It's the dream for me in the sport to do something so physically hard, but as a team. To use the skills of other people and to try and maximise that. Yeah, it's literally like the ultimate triathlon for me. So. And
talking of which, obviously that is kind of a big challenge in itself, bringing together all these people, and obviously in quite a short space of time. Are you confident in the people you've got? We won't disclose everyone just yet, but are you happy with the team you're starting to bring together?
100%. When the event got announced a while back, obviously months ago now, I started having the conversations anyway in the background. Oh, what would I do if I was given those, the opportunity to do this? And I now have what I see as like my dream team. So everybody who I would have picked, when it first came out, they've stepped up and said, yes, we want to be part of it. So I'm really privileged to have those girls.
Now, obviously there's a lot in terms of the technicalities, the logistics, the formations. Have you given that much thought yet?
So partnership here is me and my husband Mark.
Okay.
I think that's quite a key element, along with a load of other people, obviously, lots of experts in the area, but I have handed over all of the strategy to Mark. I think me as an athlete, I need to really maintain that focus on not only the world champs, but obviously the physical preparation for Sub-8. So I've given him the mantle for all of the strategy planning, and he's absolutely loving it. Well,
we can see him lingering on the edge of the shot here, and should we bring you in? Come on in, Mark, come on. So I know you love this stuff. What are we saying in terms of the tactics? What have you figured out?
It's just more bag carrying than a normal race. So most of the time I'm just bag carrying, and this is just a lot of bag carrying. It's the speed for the bike is going to be really high. So you can't have a team that just sits on the front and does the whole thing, because you don't have riders that can ride that. Going Sub-8 for the women isn't going to win it. You're going to need to crush that, I think, to actually take the win in terms of between Nicola and Kat. So using a couple of swimmers, and then doing small teams, doing very fast, high effort threshold workloads. So maybe 4 20-minute efforts, 2s or 3s doing that, and then rotating around. The hard bit will be coordinating that on the track. So there'll be cars following, radios. You'll need someone in the pit with the the ladies warming up that are coming on and off. So you're going to need people that can do coordination at multiple points, because invariably something will go wrong as well. So you can't have a perfectly laid out plan that looks good mathematically. It's going to need to also be flexible and resilient. So the ladies need to be able to get ready, get on the bike and get moving as soon as there's an incident on track, puncture, someone blows up, whatever it is.
Now, I know you won't want to give away all your secrets, but what do you think in terms of aerodynamics, formations? Have you figured all of this out?
There's some basics that aren't giving things away. So if you go more than 4 riders back, it doesn't get more. So there's no point in using 10 and being the 10th. You don't gain any more from that. Things like having a static wheel in front of you is a benefit. So you don't want everyone rotating in front of you and you being that last person, because as the wheel moves off. Other obvious things are someone behind you actually makes you faster. So a lot of people don't realise that being the last person is not best. You can pick up the wind and it's the break off point. So as the air breaks off you, it creates turbulence and essentially draws you backwards. You can stop that. And then maybe the last one would be, you don't want to rotate too much, because every time someone pulls out, and Dan Bingham and that learned this in the team pursuit, you lose their bike length, and that person, you essentially have to surge into that gap created. So they're like 3 basics, probably.
And what sort of attributes or athletes are you looking for without giving too much away?
Time trialists. Like, you want a couple of swimmers, but luckily Kat's not Lucy Charles in the swim. So it's actually quite easy to find people that can outswim Kat, whereas Lucy probably didn't have that. So that's almost one advantage. Kat's swim can be a couple of minutes faster. Lucy's probably just going to swim the same speed.
Well, absolutely. She's going to struggle to find someone that could improve her swim, surely. So you can make a big improvement or benefit there. I say big, your swim's great, but there's a minute or two to be gained there, surely.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, Lucy needs an Olympic swimmer to actually draw her forward anymore. And the faster you go, the harder it is to keep going faster. Then on the bike, it's got to be time trialists. So you can get away with triathletes for being that static wheel in front maybe and the wheel behind, or maybe a turn. But female triathletes are not as fast as female time trialists. Why wouldn't you use cyclists? And I think you'll see that in both the men's teams as well. And then the run, mates.
Energy and enthusiasm.
Will you have anyone join you on the run?
Yeah, definitely. But I guess the weather conditions we don't know. It could be windy, so it could be an advantage. But I'm really thinking of it more of like a mentality aspect for the pacing on the run.
Okay, brilliant.
Yeah. And it needs to be enjoyable. So the people in the team have to be invested in the team result. There's no point in treating them like numbers on a spreadsheet. You know, they can run X. That's what they're going to do on the day. Because you're asking someone to suffer quite hard and for quite long. They need to be invested in that result. So that's kind of what the runners will bring, what the ladies will bring.
Well, I can tell you're like a kid in a candy shop. I'm very envious. It seems very exciting. And you mentioned this already, so we're not just going after sub-8 here, we're going after the win, and quite a name to go up against and try and beat. Nicola Spirig, who arguably one of the best female triathletes we have seen in the sport. Quite an honour to be going up against her, and obviously to try and beat her.
Oh, totally. My respect for her as an athlete is unrivaled, very, very high. And I think just to even have this opportunity in her last year as well, it's a lifetime privilege.
Yeah. Well, Kat, we're wishing you all the best, and obviously Mark with all the prep for that. Hopefully we'll be there on the ground on the day doing a bit of a behind the scenes. So we'll be catching up with you there.
Get in the car.
Well, I am very excited about that, as you could probably tell there. Very well deserved by Kat. So that is going to be taking place on the 5th of June, Sunday the 5th of June in Germany. So in around 52 days' time. And hopefully, as I said before, we will be there. Moving on though, World Triathlon have announced their Olympic qualification. So some details here. We've got 55 athletes, or a quota of 55 places per gender, with the qualification period starting on the 27th of May and ending on the same day in 2024. Now, obviously, in the previous Olympics in Tokyo, we had quite a lot of excitement around the mixed team relay. It was a big success. In fact, we had a lot of non-triathletes watching that event because it was so exciting. So a few details on that. There will be a World Triathlon Mixed Relay Championships in 2023, and the winner of that will be allocated 2 quota places per gender, and the same will happen at the conclusion of the 2023 edition. The top 6 countries of the Mixed Relay Olympic qualification ranking as of March the 25th in 2024 will secure 2 men and 2 women quota spots. Now onto the individual event, the 26 highest ranked athletes on World Triathlon's individual Olympic qualification ranking as of the 27th of May in 2024 will be allocated places for their country. There'll be a minimum of 3 athletes in the countries with a minimum of 3 athletes in the top 30 will be entitled to qualify 3. And those athletes have to be inside the top 140. So it's all getting very exciting. Obviously, that build up to the Olympics is incredibly stressful and tense for those athletes. But for us guys, watching from the outside in is quite exciting. Moving on, Wahoo have announced a partnership with the Ironman group. So Wahoo being the makers of watches, head units, kickers, and various other training devices. They've partnered with Ironman, that means the Ironman events, Ironman 70.3, but also their Rock and Roll Run series, the Epic Bike series, so things like Cape Epic, the Hut Route, and also UTMB World Series, which is the Ultra Trail Mont Blanc, which excites us here at GTN. Maybe we can end up doing Mont Blanc, Ultra Trail Mont Blanc. Anyway, watch the space. And then also we have some new athletes added to the Scott lineup, and they've solved probably one of the biggest mysteries of our sport over the past 12 months, and that is, why does Magnus Ditlev not have a bike sponsor? I mean, he's an absolute weapon on the bike. Why has someone not snapped him up? Or maybe he's had too many offers and he's been debating which one he should go for. Well, he has signed, interestingly, for 2 years. In fact, they've added a number of athletes to their roster, and all have been added for 2 years, which is a nice move by them. Shows obviously loyalty and also support from the brand. Sebastian Kienle obviously will continue to ride on Scott through to the end of his career in 2023. But added to that, obviously, we've mentioned that Ashley Gentle has already joined Scott and they've already been racing on that nice new Scott Plasma. But also with that, we also have Rasmus Svenningsen. And final bit of news, PTO have announced their pro lineup for their Pro-Am event at the Herbalife 24 LA Tri in, just a few weeks' time, because it actually, interestingly, is taking place just a week after St. George and isn't a million miles away. So that means that athletes are able to take part in the Ironman World Championships and then whiz over to take part in this. Now, interesting, the format for this Pro-Am event is that we will be having physically challenged athletes doing the swim, the pro athletes doing the bike, and then celebrities doing the run. And some of the athletes we've got pretty big. So we've got Gustav Eden on the men's side with Jan Frodeno, Lionel Sanders, Daniel Bækkegård and Sam Long. And then on the women's side, we have Laura Phillips, Skye Munch, Paula Finlay, Holly Lawrence and Heather Jackson. Not entirely sure how competitive this is going to be. Obviously, just a week after completing an Ironman. I'm not sure what the stakes are, but an exciting event. Okay, on to the race news, and quite excited about this one because we had the first round of the Triathlon Esports World Championship Series hosted by Super League. This time, the first one was in Germany and Munich. Now, over an interesting format, we had sort of 3 rounds or 3 heats to this. We had a swim, bike, run, a nice traditional format for round 1, and then we reversed that, so we went run, bike, swim for heat 2, and then into heat 3, or the final, it was back to the normal format, swim, bike, run, but we set off in a pursuit format based on the times or the leads or margins between each athlete. And in the women's race, it was Beth Potter that set off first in the final and managed to stretch her lead further over the chasers, which was Meissner and Knoll. And then onto the bike, the 4K bike leg, she managed to extend that further, coming off the bike with about a 70-second lead. And then again, no surprise really, Beth Potter managed to extend that lead even further on the run to take the win by around a minute 30 over Meissner, and then Knoll in third. On the men's side, it was, an impressive day from Aurélien Raphael, a name that maybe not all of you are familiar with, but someone I remember back from my junior racing days. He was the junior European and world champion back in 2006 and 2007, and an incredible swimmer. So this sort of racing suits him perfectly. Into the final, he managed to maintain his lead on the swim, formed a bike group of about 4 or 5 very quickly on the bike. But it did seem that Alex Yee and Martin van Riel were a little bit off pace and had to form a duo in about 6th or 7th and essentially sort of out of the race. Onto the run, that breakaway group of 4 or 5 pretty much ran together initially, but it was Nicelag and Aureli and Raphael that pushed ahead and ran shoulder to shoulder, with Nicelag dropping off the pace and Max Stapley coming through into second. But it was Aureli and Raphael that hung on for that win. So impressive racing from him, and great to see him still racing. Now that was obviously the first round of this Esports World Championship Series. We have 3 rounds in total. The next round will be coming to London on the 23rd of May before heading to Singapore on the 7th of May, and hopefully we will be there. So very excited about that. We had one more event, or notable event this weekend. It was the Tri-Porta Colom event, which used to be actually a much bigger event when I think it was a TriStar event. That's going way back when. Not quite so bigger names turning up these days, but we did have none other than Mario Mola there taking part in this short distance event, and no surprises, he took the win. Okay, now on to take a look through some of the stuff that you guys have kindly sent in to us. Don't forget, you too can send in any photos or videos of your bike in transition, your pain cave setup, or just generally all the weird and wonderful things that us triathletes get up to. So you can use the link that's on screen right now or in the description just down below. So first up from Parker, and we do have a bike in transition. This is the Ironman 70.3 Texas. It's his Cervelo P Series, where he won his age group. So very well done to you. And he is getting ready and prepping for the Ironman World Championships in St. George next month. So yeah, a nice setup there as well. We've got a Zip Super 9 disc wheel and the Zip 454 NSW front wheel there on the Cervelo P Series. So nice bike. Good work. Next from Dan, and he's riding his new Ridley Noah Aero Plus road bike in the Netherlands. He said he's bought his first serious race bike in the last month and just can't wait to ride many, many hours on it. He also bought a second-hand set of Speedplay pedals and just is really enjoying it. So very well done to you. Good work. Keep it up. And then finally, this is a very cool one from Catherine in Yellowstone National Park, obviously with their partner or friend there. And they've got their Trek Madon and Specialized Roubaix there in shot in front of Gibbons Falls. They said that no cars are allowed in Yellowstone National Park this past week, so bikes and bison rule the roads. They did a brisk 40 miles out and back to Yellowstone's famous Gibbons Falls, as we can see, though had to wait for a bison jam halfway through. Hopefully no one got hurt. So very cool and quite an experience, I'm sure. But yeah, like I said, please do send in your photos and videos using that photo uploader on screen right now or in the description just down below. And finally, we have the Caption Competition. Now, last week we had the controversy of the Ironman 70.3 Oceanside with the sprint finish between Rudy von Berg and Lionel Sanders. And we had this photo, courtesy of Pro Tri News, of that sprint finish and the phone that recorded that sprint finish. Anyway, great captions coming in. Actually, terrible caption comp submissions, but in a great way because they're all just terrible dad jokes. So first from Fergal Ismay, overtaking someone on the finish line. Lionel, isn't that a bit Rudy? Yeah, I know. Zeliok Kodza, race announcer. The second place gets free unlimited donuts for a year. Andy Taylor, sprint finish decided by a chest breath. I see what you're trying to do there. But we're going to have to... Well, no, sorry, we've got two left to go. Kyla Edwards, should we dive into this? Wait, where is the finish line? Did I win? The winner, though, is Carl Jones. How rude. There's no finish Lionel. I know. Pretty bad. Hopefully you guys can do better this week because we got this photo from the Super League Triathlon. It is of Axie and Martin Van Riel maybe making a pact. Maybe it's between heats when they realise they're really not doing very well today. Do your best. Leave your captions in the comments section down below. But do have lots coming up on the channel this week. We have a video looking at Jan and Christian, a bit of a comparison between the two athletes, their progression as triathletes, and the build-up to the Ironman World Championships in St. George. Also, a bit of an investigative piece into RED-S, which stands for Relative Energy Deficiency in Sport. I had to read that because I couldn't remember. But that is quite a big topic about overtraining, diet, etc. So yeah, please do watch that. It's a very, very good piece. Do make sure you give this video a like and subscribe to the channel if you're not doing so already, and check out our GTN shop if you want to get hold of some of the jumpers, some of the merch that we have. And if you haven't already checked it out, do check out Can We Beat the Pros, which is a recent video of Heather over at Challenge Salou in a relay team trying to beat the pro athletes. It's a very good video, as well as run form for an Ironman marathon.